Hey guys, and welcome to the SSG podcast, where we have gaming news and discussion. I'm your host, Chris, and so we have a fantastic show lined up for you guys this week. Earlier, I actually had a moment to go through the entire BlizzCon discussion with both Joseph Vuke and Byron Lafayette. I probably am saying his name wrong. But regardless, it was a really, really fun discussion. We broke down all the news, any of the big news bits that came out from BlizzCon, and it was a really fun time. It was a really fun discussion, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. But before we get to that, though, there's a few other things we need to kind of go over and kind of touch on. I want to avoid going too much into massive amounts of news this week because I want to give a lot of time for the Blizzard discussion. But there are a few games that came out this past week, most of which were really nothing. One of which is actually quite something. The first game that came out October 30th, Call of Cthulhu, was actually released on PS4 and PC. Currently, it has a 63 and a 63 on PS4 and a 69 on PC, respectively. There's no score currently on Xbox One. I'm unsure if that game actually came out on Xbox One. It doesn't state that on the Metacritic site. The next game was The Quiet Man, which has no ratings currently for PS4 and PC. The PC exclusive Football Manager 2019. The Quiet Man came out on November 1st, and Football Manager 2019 came out November 2nd. And what also came out on November 2nd was Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection for the Nintendo Switch. It currently has an 87. If any of you guys follow the SSG Instagram account, then you know that I actually picked that up. And literally, that is part of the reason why this podcast is a little late coming out, because I've been stuck on that game. I love Diablo 3, and I love playing it on the Switch, and it works. It's a really good adaptation, really good port of the game. Honestly, at this point, for games that are 6 years old, I don't say you could do wrong with porting it to the Switch. We've seen it with Dark Souls, and then before that we saw it with Skyrim, and I think there's a nice, cool collection of these games that you can now have just, the portable. I've been playing exclusively on my TV with the Pro Controller just because it feels most comfortable, but I do intend to take it out and see how the game plays on the actual small screen. From what I've seen, though, if you try to do multiplayer, though, it's you really can't do it on the small screen so much. But a cool thing that I have discovered is that you can play the game with a single Joy-Con. It gets really complicated and really complex, but it is a thing that happens, or that can happen. It was a really cool discovery. That kind of makes me feel a little bit better, because if someone ever decides they want to play co-op, if two other people come around, then I can, we can essentially play, 3 characters on my Switch. So that's a really, really cool aspect. I do need to get at least another Pro Controller, though. That's something that may happen with Smash Brothers, which is coming out eventually. So with that stated, let's now move into the actual news discussion. So the first bit of news I want to get into today is the final bit of news on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We've got a lot more information as far as what will be included in the game. So the final Smash Direct announced that Ultimate's final pre-launch fighters are Ken from Street Fighter and Incineroar, which is a wrestler Pokemon type thing from Pokemon Sun and Moon. Piranha Plant is going to be a bonus fighter. Apparently, it's going to be free DLC. People who buy and register the game before January 31st get it for free. Everyone else can grab it, plus its new stage and music tracks as DLC in the future. Piranha Plant is expected to appear in-game around February 2019. All new Ultimate Fighters are getting amiibos. Every new Ultimate Fighter is getting its own amiibo figure, but fans won't see them on store shelves right away. Essentially, expect them to come in waves, starting sometime next year. New Ultimate Online features are revealed. Nintendo detailed many of the online features coming to Ultimate. It's doing away with the For Fun or For Glory modes. Instead, matchmaking will be based on 3 main factors: proximity, player preferences, and global Smash power score. New additions include Elite Battles, Smash Tags, background matchmaking, and short messages. The old Spectator mode returns as well. Nintendo closed Thursday's Direct with a new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate trailer that tries to shed some light on the game's backstory. Apparently, all of the fighters, except Kirby, are disintegrated in rays of golden light, and their spirits possesses metal replicas of themselves. Look, this adventure mode looks pretty cool. I don't care what this article is stating. I think it's going to be a fun time. Ultimate is getting a smartphone app called Smash World. Seems to be what Nintendo is into these days. Spirits are the next big Smash mechanic. The characters who lose their forms and become spirits can serve as power-ups for a player's main fighter. There's a massive number of them, from a variety of video game franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog and Fatal Frame. Players can equip primary and support skills or add additional abilities like speed or strength to their fighter during battles, bringing a layer of strategy to the game. Players can gain spirits by winning spirit battles, then level them up by using them. Then we're also, of course, going to have DLC. Nintendo's planning new fighters, stages, and music for Ultimate post-launch. Each set will cost $5.99, that's US dollars, individually, or people can buy the Fighter's Pass for $25. The pass includes 5 upcoming sets, plus a bonus in-game outfit based on Rex from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. People who pre-purchase a digital copy of Ultimate with the Fighter's Pack before December 6th will earn double My Nintendo Gold points. And a few other miscellaneous aspects. Nintendo revealed a lot of the other Ultimate-related tidbits. There will be 59 assist trophies in the game. Mii fighters are getting new outfits and voice customization options. Players can create custom battle arenas when playing online. Plus, there will be a wide variety of other modes and settings coming to Ultimate, including replay sharing, challenges, battle records, and custom balance tweaking. Additionally, fans can check out some early hands-on events leading up to December 7th. Anyone interested in attending can find more information on the game's website. Yeah, Smash Ultimate is going to be huge. I always look at whenever a new Smash comes out, I always wonder, how are they going to top themselves? The next bit of news is a Variety article. Nintendo wants to keep making games, creating content for the Nintendo 3DS. Even though the Switch is out and it's a thing, they want to keep pushing Nintendo 3DS games, which is cool. I think the 3DS is a fantastic console, but can it do things that the Switch? But it's, I don't know. Is the Switch better than the 3DS? Obviously, yes, because of the games you can play on it. But I still think, though, as a cheaper alternative, not much cheaper, but a cheaper alternative, the 3DS and the 2DS are fantastic gaming devices. There's a cool article on the UK PC Mag website that says 10 games every Xbox One player needs. Games on this list include Cuphead, D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, Dragon Ball FighterZ, which, there's no excuse to not have Dragon Ball FighterZ, Forza Horizon 4, obviously, Killer Instinct Definitive Edition, and a litany of others, such as Overwatch, Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a no-brainer, and then The Witcher 3. All this stuff is just, it's obvious. This is obvious. These are obvious games. Or just check out the list if you want to see games that you've maybe not thought of that are on Xbox One. Also, now we have the lineup for Xbox Live free game, or Xbox free games for Xbox Live Gold accounts, and the PlayStation Network free games. So from November 1st to 30th on Xbox One, Battlefield 1 is free. From November 16th until December 15th, Race the Sun will be free. Assassin's Creed, it's for Xbox 360 and Xbox One consoles. It's going to be free from November 1st to the 15th. And Dante's Inferno will be the second game in the month from November 16th to November 30th. That's for both Xbox 360 and Xbox One. As far as PlayStation goes, the two games that are going to be coming that are free for that system will be Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition and Yakuza Kiwami. So if you are interested in any of those two games, they're both really fun. Bulletstorm is a really fun shooter, and Yakuza is apparently the remake of the original Yakuza game. I think it's a PS3 game. I would recommend checking that out. Those were both two very solid games. Then it was announced that it's been a minute since this was announced, but in case you guys missed it, the PlayStation Classic has revealed its full list of games that are going to be on the miniaturized version of the original PlayStation 1. And a lot of people were questioning some of the titles on the game, or on this little, we'll call it an emulation box. I think it's cool, but at the same time, I think it's questionable, I suppose. Here's the full list of games: Battle Arena Toshinden, Cold Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. And I think that of all the games that are on here, Cold Borders 2, I don't know why you would have that. Why don't you put Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on there or something like that? It's a much more fun game. The games I think that make this worth the value. It's $100 US, which I don't think is all that great. But I think Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Oddworld, Resident Evil, Tekken 3, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. I think those games make it worth it. Beyond that, though, there's a lot of stuff that's omitted, such as Crash Bandicoot, the original Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Gran Turismo, Wipeout, and even something like Jet Moto. There's no Tomb Raider. It's kind of crazy. And an interesting thing, and I don't have the list in front of me, but the European and American versions of this, I think, have the same game selection. But the Japanese, I think the Japanese version includes Armored Core. So, yeah, what the heck? That's kind of crazy stuff. So, yeah, that if you want to jump into it, then by all means jump into it. I think there is still a lot of good value to be had. A lot of good gameplay. Wild Arms and Final Fantasy VII would take you a long time to play. And then classics like Resident Evil, and even Rayman. I'm sorry, I messed Rayman there. Rayman's great. Oddworld is a fantastic platformer. There's a lot of good value there, but there's still a lot of question marks, I feel like. And with that is our entire news section taken care of. All right, guys, it is that time for the massive discussion on BlizzCon. It just happened. It just ended probably a couple minutes ago. Maybe it's still going on. There's still some probably esports games going on at the time that I'm actually recording all this. But I've got here the two people that have been with us the past 2 weeks. They've come together. We have joined forces, and we're going to have a wonderful powwow, a wonderful discussion. I can't even contain my excitement with this. I've been looking forward to this for like a couple months now. So, in one corner we have Joseph Vuke. Welcome back, Mr. Vuke.
Podcast Fusion. Sorry. Hi.
Ooh.
I'm happy to be back.
Fusion, huh? What? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the other corner, we have Byron Lafayette.
Thank you for allowing me back to share my wonderful and weird opinions.
Indeed, you're always welcome. Both of you people are wonderful people, and you're always welcome to come back. So, and in fact, you may randomly get drawn back into this and not even want to be drawn back. I don't know. But anyways,
it's like a curse.
It's a gift and a curse. It's a curse that keeps on gifting. What? Okay.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. So, we have so much stuff to actually try to unpackage, and even with some of the smaller stuff, we know there was a massive amount of backlash on Diablo Immortal. We're gonna get to that. There's some other stuff we want to work through first. So Vuke, okay, we're gonna start with this. I'm gonna start with you, Vuke. I'm gonna ask you this because you're the Overwatch expert. You're Professor Overwatch. I want to know what was your favorite thing and what was your least favorite thing of BlizzCon from all the news and stuff that you saw.
My favorite and least favorite. My favorite thing I would have to say would be the Overwatch World Cup viewer. So they announced just before BlizzCon, and they had it for the actual World Cup. You could download your PC users for that own Overwatch could download a client that allowed you to live spectate any World Cup match and do the replay in spectator mode, which gave you full control of camera work, of player perspective, of the HUD. It gave you full control over all of that live.
Wow.
It was amazing. I had so much fun. I was listening to the broadcast, and the server was actually faster than the broadcast. So I'd pause it, I would sync it, so I still got the casting, and I still got the main screen, and I would watch along with my own spectating. If I saw a person that interested me, I'd watch their perspective. It gave me a lot more bird's eye view on the fights. It's allowing me to also just experiment with camera play in general. And I'm honestly having a lot of fun learning how to be a cameraman, essentially, in Overwatch. So that and just, watching the World Cup through that.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was definitely my highlight. I think my least favorite thing would imply that I think something bad happened at BlizzCon, and other than what we're going to get into, I feel like I don't have a least favorite. Like, it's not like something made me mad or whatever. I had mentioned before in my previous podcast, previous episode I was in here, that I didn't want a new hero, and we got a new hero, but I actually really like what I see. And I will say, though, the reason I didn't want a new hero was simply timing. I am hesitant of a fast release schedule on heroes because I don't want 500 heroes for Overwatch. But that being said, this new hero Ashe and the animation they did with McCree and all was fantastic. I love their animations. And what they did with Ashe, I think she's a good role as a hit scan alternative to Soldier and McCree, which if you play Overwatch, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And she feels a very nice role of providing variety without being at least from what I can tell at this point, she doesn't feel like a total meta changer. She feels like a variety addition. And I think I think it's good that they're willing to put heroes in like that. Because lately we've been getting Regina, who was a total meta changer. We got Hammond, who maybe isn't a meta changer, but he definitely shook up some things.
Right.
Both fun hero. And Doomfist before that, very, very unique. This is a more traditional, but it provides a new take. It's the first hero in Overwatch outside of Widowmaker, outside of a scoped character, to have aim down sights, and it's just literal aim down sights. So that's fun. But yeah, so that's where I'm at BlizzCon. I very much enjoyed what we got.
So essentially, then you just began our bit of a discussion on Overwatch. You're actually really happy with the fact that a new character was essentially revealed, and ties in with McCree.
Just to clarify, I would say less that I'm happy that a new hero was revealed, and more that I am happy with the new hero. I really enjoyed the new hero.
Okay, all right. So you're okay at the fact now that a new hero was revealed, and you are satisfied with what that hero does as far as the overall game.
I am very excited to play the new hero.
Right. It's very interesting how I feel like over the past year or so, there's been so many new characters that have come out. It's really interesting. I never expected them to release characters as quickly as they had. And I also want to tell everyone, if you've not watched the little animated short for Overwatch, go watch it because it's fantastic. I swear, Blizzard is like the next Pixar or something like that. The way they make their animations it's really cool. It's really cool. You don't see too many other studios out there really trying to push their own character backstories in the same manner that Blizzard is. So I thought that was
the multimedia awesome. Marketing from Blizzard Overwatch specifically is insane, and I love it.
So I just also then want to touch a bit on esports. How has the does it look like the crowds were still like super into it? Is there anything maybe people were more pumped up about some of the events that went on?
I don't know, like I couldn't see, I don't know total numbers of viewers and all, but there was a definite roaring crowd at World Cup. It was a very interesting series. South Korea did, in the end, still retain their dominance. And I thought I was going to be... Yeah, I thought I was going to be mad at that, but honestly, I couldn't. It was just they played amazing Overwatch. But they had some real threats. Not in the actual final game. The China did amazing. And that was something that's interesting, is that it was just a surprise in general. World Cup, the predictions were like USA, Canada, and South Korea were going to be like the big three, essentially. USA got knocked out before the quarterfinals.
Whoa.
And by United Kingdom, who nobody expected. United Kingdom then went went toe-to-toe with South Korea. Like, every single thing about their matches were very even, except just the slightest edge. It went, South Korea won the first map barely, then they drew twice, and then South Korea barely won the fourth map, and that was enough at that point to win. So, like, a lot of surprises like that. China was kind of, in general, looked down on in Overwatch because they had a team in the league that may or may not have gone 0-40. So the fact that the Chinese World Cup team went second place, I think really helped establish that China actually is a very strong esports team. They just didn't know how to pick that team. And I think that's good.
Yeah, it's great to have that one team, and in most sports aspects, at least in traditional sports, in your football and baseball, having that one team that's the dark horse that just comes out of nowhere. It's always exciting to see that. Even if the team that gets eliminated is like your favorite, you're kind of going like, well, what in the world? What just happened? Like this? I wasn't expecting this. So that's fantastic for China to kind of come out of nowhere and really shock everyone. I think that does good for the future of the actual Overwatch League scene. So I mean, yeah, that's great stuff.
The only other thing I want to add is just about the World Cup viewers. Something that's really nice about it is that it is very big implications for the future of spectating in Overwatch, because this was just the beta for the World Cup. The Jeff Kaplan, Overwatch director, amazing person, said in a dev update that released just before BlizzCon, about BlizzCon, kind of as an early birthday present, that they want to use this technology to make it so that you can do the same thing you did for that with your own games. And so you can make your own they want to make it so you can save videos from there, save your own highlight reels, controlling like slow-mo and the angle. And it also allows you to improve your gameplay. You can look at what you do. And just in general, I would like the fact you could probably do this with Overwatch League games at any point would be the hope. It gives a lot of a very bright future for the future of spectating in Overwatch, and in a way that at least that I know of, no other game is able or has done yet.
That's fantastic. I want to bring in Byron. Byron, do you have any expert opinion on what you think of Overwatch?
I have actually never played Overwatch.
Dang it.
I can say that everything that I've seen of it looks fantastic, and everything I saw from BlizzCon looks really good, and it actually kind of pushed me to want to go and purchase it. I've slowly been purchasing all of the Blizzard properties, and that is definitely next on my list that I would like to get. Yeah,
even as a super casual, I say super casual, I've not played it in probably a year, but in the brief amount of time that I've played the game, I was terrible at it, but I still had a lot of fun. There's a lot of you'll have moments in the game, and this was for me personally, where I'm gonna suck the entire time for the most part, but then I found my character, which was Diva, and I owned people with Diva. Like, I figured out how to play as Diva. And now, granted, I wasn't like, I was playing just casual all the time. I never went into competitive. But when you have moments of where you're like, look, I know that's not going to be like the highlight of the game or anything like that, but you have these little moments where you're just like, oh, look at me, I just did something really cool and saved the team, and it's really awesome. It's a real awesome feeling.
It is very rewarding, and something that's nice about Overwatch is that you find that hero that you start off on. For me, it was kind of far off for familiarity, but then it really was Lucio and wall riding and booping people off maps. Like, you find
booping
that
is
hero.
Fun. Booping is so much fun.
It really just sparks something. And Overwatch is not the only game that has that, but it is one of the only, and it is really the only modern game I know of, and it's probably the only with the level of polish it has.
Yeah, it is a. I mean, you can tell Blizzard loves this game, and it loves the fact that just about everyone loves this game as well. Like, it's incredible how they were able to just, I feel like, grow this almost organically into what it's become now. Yeah, and people just took to it. It's incredible how it kind of defined. It kind of goes beyond the actual genre of the kind of game it is. It's just really incredible. I'm sorry, Byron, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was gonna agree with you, because I remember when Overwatch came out, obviously any kind of new Blizzard game is a big deal, but I feel like there wasn't a huge amount of like, oh, this is the game of a generation or anything like that. Mm-hmm. That it was just kind of like, oh, cool, a new game, but it's like become so much more than that now.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting perspective. Since I came in running, essentially, I was very ready for that kind of game, so it's interesting hearing that more casual perspective.
I want to wrap up the Overwatch, and I guess you could say esports as a whole. I'm going to mention a few little tidbits that were brought up for a couple of other games, and then but one last little thing for Overwatch was Lucio's. Oh my
goodness, I forgot
is
about
a
that.
Real thing. Like, it's a real cereal, guys.
As soon as I can.
I can't wait for that to come out. I'm gonna buy like 5 boxes of them just because it's just, I think it's so cool when a video game outside of like a Mario or something like that, because I know there's like a Mario cereal, but this type of thing is it's so like surreal, I guess.
The great thing about it is just that day one, it was a thing in the game. He had a spray that was Lucio's. So it's like, it's a cereal because he's like a famous person, and he has and then it was a voice line where he's like, has the Lucio, and so just the full like progression of it becoming real.
It's amazing.
Perfect. And I cannot wait to exclusively eat Lucio's for breakfast.
Yeah, like I said, I'm buying those 5 boxes just to. I mean, I don't care. I don't need milk with them. I'm just gonna munch on them. I don't care. Okay,
you're talking about my favorite thing about the desk talent in Overwatch is amazing, and seeing them simply eat some Lucio's was a spectacle. Just look up the Twitch clip.
I will definitely look that up. That's pretty amazing. There was 2 things that was announced for Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft 2. I almost called it just StarCraft, but it's StarCraft 2. It's still a game, still exists, even though that game has been out for, a long time. Heroes of the Storm gets its first completely new hero, or Fia. So this is a brand new, originally created hero that is not pulled from a previous Blizzard game. That's really cool. I think that's pretty awesome stuff.
I do too.
And the last little bit is that in StarCraft 2, for those who care, probably no one cares at this point. I don't know anyone who plays StarCraft 2 at this at this juncture, but Zeratul is going to be the new. There's going to be a new co-op commander. So, and I actually have no idea what that means because I don't play the game and haven't played it since Wings of Liberty. So. For those that are interested in that, that's a thing that's happening. So, I want to kind of bridge our way into, from the Joseph talk into the Byron talk. Because, as I said, both these guys are experts in their own, essentially, genres of gameplay. Or I consider them experts. They may not think that they're experts. They're experts.
I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I would consider myself well-versed.
Being humble is a good thing.
Uh-huh.
So, first off, I want to mention to everyone who has a Battle.net account, through November 18th, 2018, you can get Destiny 2, the base game, for free. Alright? I've voiced my opinion on Destiny 2. I don't think it's that great of a game. The base game it's okay, but free's free.
Yeah.
Don't ever turn down free.
It was so disappointing. I wasn't interested, but #claimed, dude. I'll play it. I'll play the free version.
It's what I always say. It's like bad pizza is better than no pizza. So
what
every good game is better than no game.
What is bad pizza though? What would be a bad pizza?
I can actually confirm. Adventure Landing has bad pizza. It is the kind of pizza you'd expect, like Fazbear's Pizzeria serve after the things are haunted. Like, it's bad.
Oh.
It's literally cardboard with the worst quality cheese on top. Like, the cheese literally just slides right off of the base pizza. I'm not even kidding.
That's amazing. Okay, never mind.
It's hilariously bad.
Never mind. Okay, you answered the question. Yep. But yes, Destiny 2. Go check it out. If you have a PC that can handle it. But I mean, the thing is that you get it forever if you redeem it. So why wouldn't you do it?
So go check out your Adventure Landing pizza.
Hearthstone gets a new expansion, Rastakon's Rumble. So apparently, I think this is a troll-themed expansion. It says for those who pre-order a bundle, will offer 50 packs, a card back, and a hero portrait of King Rastakhan. So yeah, go get it if you're a big fan of Hearthstone. But if you're like us who don't really play Hearthstone all that much, cool.
I play it about once every other event.
It's one of those things. Like if they brought Hearthstone to like the Switch, then I would probably play it a little bit more.
I'm really surprised that wasn't announced this year. Honestly, I'm really surprised. It fits so well for the Switch.
I mean, it's a touchscreen. Like the screen is touchscreen, so like you could make it work. I don't know. I just don't know. But,
I mean, it's a yeah.
But
whatever.
Regardless, though, this still looks like a pretty cool addition to the game. And it's nice to see Hearthstone still continuing on. It in this day and age, I think we don't really appreciate these types of IPs. Blizzard took a gamble when they came out with Hearthstone. People could have just been like, whatever. But just like with Overwatch, people said, no, we love, this is awesome. It's a card collecting, card fighting game, whatever. And, it's really cool to see, the game progress and continue. I wonder how long it can actually go, but, people keep buying card packs, so,
I mean, honestly, it's pretty popular. Like, not necessarily the diehards, but I don't really know of anybody that's like, ugh, Hearthstone's terrible, unless they're referring to the RNG.
Yeah. Freaking RNG. So now we're going to move over into our Warcraft / World of Warcraft discussion. There was a few things that were mentioned, at least as far as Warcraft goes. And you guys can chime in with your thoughts on this. Warcraft 3 Reforged. We're getting another remastered game. What do you guys think about that?
I'm pretty excited about it because, the Warcraft games they're classics, obviously. And, you can still play Warcraft 3, but it definitely takes a little bit more effort, with, like, the age and such.
Yeah.
And so I think it's pretty cool to be able to take this, like, very classic RTS game, bring it back for a new generation, and give it a new, nice skin, it's all polished, and, it looks fantastic. And I know, for myself, I'm going to be going out and getting it immediately, because I'm a huge fan of RTSs. And this one it looks great.
What do you think about that, Vuke?
I am not an RTS player. Honestly, it is the one genre of games I am terrible at. Like, legitimately terrible. Friends try to get me into it. I'm not good. But if I was going to try, it sounds weird to say, that would probably be what I'd try to learn on. Because I know it is such an iconic entry, and I know it's done so much for the gaming community. And I might be, if it's cheap enough, I'll give it a shot. Either way, I think it's amazing that it's happening. Right. And I am very glad that they're doing this. They have a division dedicated to remastering these older games. I think it's good to see these games get loved.
I'm waiting for. Obviously, I want Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 to be redone to some extent, and Diablo 1. And you don't have to remaster Diablo 2. It's perfect the way that it is. But
I will say, I think this is a test.
Oh, it is.
To see how much the RTS genre still gets. Because people say, I think if this got, if people really love this, maybe they try for Warcraft 4.
Vuke, I thought the exact same thing, that I wonder if this is a test to see if people are willing to still buy, because Warcraft 4 is something everyone's always been requesting, but this, at the end of the day, is it a small niche that's requesting it, or is it actually, going to make the money?
No, I think it's Blizzard doing what they want to do, what they can do, and seeing just, they're testing the market. I don't know if it's so much to see if there would be a Warcraft 4. I mean, potentially it could be for that. I think that's one factor. I think they're doing this as well just to see if, would the public be willing to have the other Warcraft games remastered or something like that. We're going to do Warcraft 3 because it is the most recent. It feeds into a lot of the storylines of World of Warcraft, or at least the some of the earlier ones. So I think actually Pandarians were first introduced in Warcraft 3, or at least mentioned. There was something mentioned in text about them. And I kind of want to piggyback on a point that you made, Vuke. Whereas you say that you just suck at playing them and all that kind of stuff. I was never good at playing RTSs. I sucked at Age of Empires, but I still liked playing it just because it was fun and cathartic in some way. But when it came to Warcraft, though, a lot of the reasons why I played it particularly was because of the story. It was an RTS with a ridiculous amount of time spent on the story, especially with Warcraft 2. So, yeah, don't go into like Warcraft 3 thinking, I suck at RTSs. Just go into it for the story, just to kind of, to kind of jump into a time of Warcraft when it was literally just, essentially kind of what Battle for Azeroth is right now. It's, the Alliance versus the Horde, and then get to watch Arthas, become a douchebag.
Yeah, because it was, because a lot of times with so many RTS games, it was this paper-thin story that basically just strung together maps of armies so that you could fight. And it was like, just get through the next, paper-thin, cut screen. And Warcraft was not that at all.
No, it literally... No. Now, Warcraft 1 was kind of light on story aspects, but it's still there. There's a lot of importance with the Warcraft games, and it's really cool to see them remastering them. The Warcraft 3 Reforged will be launching for $30. And there will be a Spoils of War edition that will go for $40, but it will contain a bunch of extras. It says in this mirror.co.uk article that it says that some of these extras, though, will include things like a meat wagon mount in World of Warcraft, a special card back in Hearthstone, and 4 heroes in Heroes of the Storm. So,
I have to admit that mount for WoW is definitely calling my name.
I did hear a pretty big reaction because I was actually able to watch that part of the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
And there was a pretty great reaction when they talked about the meat mount. People thought that was amazing.
Yeah. That's how Blizzard gets people, by the way. That's like, if you want this unique mount, this exclusive mount, then you have to do, go through all these loops, or you pay $10 more kind of a thing, and people are just like, yeah. The last little two things before we really get into World of Warcraft, though, is there's a release window for WoW Classic, and there's a new pet coming to World of Warcraft. You love pets, don't you, Byron?
Oh, I love pets.
You love collecting all those pets. There's a new baby Yeti pet named Whomper, which is coming to the in-game shop. This is if you purchase it before the end of the year, all proceeds will be donated to code.org. Really awesome. I love it when they do charity type stuff. And World of Warcraft Classic, it will officially be available in summer 2019. You guys, I don't know if you guys were actually, Byron, you may know of this, but it was like Blizzard copyrighted or trademarked the word soon.
I had heard about that, yes.
Yeah, that's what this feels like. It's summer 2019, so anywhere from like May until beginning of September, this could go, or it could get delayed. But regardless, I think I'm actually looking forward to WoW Classic. But Byron, what was your most favorite moment of BlizzCon, and then your most disappointing or your least favorite, or something that just made you sad?
I'll start with what made me sad, and we'll talk about it more later, but I definitely was sad, not over Diablo Immortal, even though I have my thoughts on that. I was disappointed with the panel for Diablo. I was hoping, for a little bit more, not necessarily of content, but just a little bit more of some announcements of a little bit, I was hoping for a little bit more on the Netflix show, I mean, obviously they haven't filmed or done anything like that, but I was hoping for a little bit more details maybe on that. So just overall, I was considering Diablo has been absent from, BlizzCon for a while, and we haven't had any big announcements for a while. I was expecting a bit more than what we got, so I was a little disappointed with that.
Right.
But probably I would say what I liked the best. I'm kind of tied. I really, really was excited about Warcraft 3 Reforged. That was very exciting because, in all honesty, I did not see that coming. Yeah. I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, no one did. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so it was a great surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. It looks good. So that was probably my favorite. But something else that is very close to that is the WoW cinematic of was it a No Honor, I believe it was called?
Yeah.
Or Lost Honor?
Lost Honor.
Yeah. Sorry. It was great, and so I would say those two moments were probably my favorite, I think.
That's fantastic. That actually leads us into that topic awesomely. Mm-hmm. So what about that Lost Honor? What do you think about where World of Warcraft is, and where does it look like they're pushing things now because of that cinematic?
What I really have liked about this expansion of Battle for Azeroth is that most of the other expansions, they've had like one cinematic basically in the beginning that kind of introduced things. And I really like that with Battle for Azeroth, they've been really kind of developing their own story kind of in the cinematics that are continuing along. It's not just, oh, here, go play the game. There's a lot going on in those cinematics as well. And just Lost Honor, it kind of, it's led some very interesting paths ahead. Mm-hmm. Very excited to see, what looks to be kind of like a civil war within the Horde that is, happening. Before, they'd only teased it a little bit, where now it's like, I mean, it's pretty out there, I mean, it's like Sao Fang has been basically said, join us basically to take down the Banshee Queen. And so, I'm very interested to see where they're going to be going with it. Right. There was something else too that I'll touch on briefly that I read about with Blizzard when they were developing these cinematics, that they said that they really wanted to have a gray-haired orc that they were telling a story for, because they said most orcs always die, young in battle. Basically, they don't grow old. And they said that in these cinematics, they wanted to explore what would this old battle-weary orc be like, what would he feel like, what would his views be like. Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting how they're kind of exploring his weariness a bit.
I'll admit, when I was playing WoW, Saurfang was one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. He was just literally like a secondary character. You didn't see too much of him, but like whenever you did see him, you knew just like crap was really going down.
Very true.
So
very cool.
I really love the fact that they are focusing more on him in this whole aspect. I'm glad to see him kind of being it looks like it's the old guard, right? It's the old traditions of the Horde, and he looks like he's going to lead that side. And look, if I were playing right now, then yeah, like Sarfang, yeah, dude, I'm teaming up with him. There's no way I'm going to like partner up with Sylvana. She can. Ooh, I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all.
Not at all. No. Yeah. Big mistake putting her as war chief of the Horde.
Yeah. I think was it Vol'jin? Was that who it was that?
It was at his death.
Yeah, I think he was kind of forced into it because of him dying. Like there was really no other successor, so to speak, and
and with the threat of the Legion, it was kind of like she was unpredictable, but you kind of needed somebody like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's interesting too, that they're exploring a little bit with the storyline, that it's kind of like, well, you have these kind of like sociopathic characters who you need in order to win these terrible wars. But then what happens afterwards when they're in charge, and it's kind of showing how, she, that, she's not needed anymore, basically, because now she's going crazy.
I wonder if they'll eventually, like, if she'll actually be, like, killed, like, kind of a thing.
That's what I'm kind of wondering, because they definitely are leading up to, her versus Sarfang. And it's going to be interesting. Like, I kind of hope they don't kill her off, because I think that could even be more of an interesting story of her being taken down. And then kind of like, how do you go, come back from all of that? But it'll be interesting, though. I'm very curious to see where they go.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if they were to do something of where they could. Let me speculate here a little bit. I think it would be really neat if she does eventually kind of turn into a villain, and then for maybe the next expansion or something like that, she becomes the ultimate bad guy, for that expansion. And the undead is taken over by someone else who steps up and all that kind of stuff. They have time to bring someone else up and whatnot. But then she just goes so like crazy, that you have to. It's time to offer, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see something like that, because I've always said that after the hugeness of Legion, that I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of kind of a smaller, character-driven story.
Yeah. And
so seeing kind of like her fall, so to speak, would be very interesting. I also sometimes wonder a bit if, because Illidan's Stormrage is gone now.
I'm sad. He was one of my favorites. He was such
I loved him. He was a badass and just was so cool, so misinterpreted and misunderstood. But it's like, I almost wonder if they're trying to develop somebody else kind of like that, maybe, somebody who is, very bad, but is still kind of like, they're doing what they feel is right.
Yeah.
And, because there are still people out there who like the Banshee Queen and are on her side, just like there's people who are on Illidan's side.
Right.
And so I wouldn't be surprised, too, if they were kind of doing something a little bit like that, and they might keep her around, even if they turn her into a villain, kind of like how they turned Illidan into a villain in Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, I'm very curious to see where they're going to go with her.
Oh. It'd be really cool to see how the whole situation turns out. There's, I think I mentioned in the last podcast episode, there's going to be a really, really telling patch, the next patch. There's going to be some interesting decisions made. And, it's going to be... some big stuff's going to go down. And I think you were right. I think they are focusing more on the storytelling aspect, which is something that World of Warcraft has needed for a long time. More story-driven elements. I think since Arthas, the Lich King, was killed, there's not been a massive amount of story-driven
there has not. Yeah, it kind of turned a little bit. Yeah, it kind of became, it was still, WoW, even at its worst, is still pretty good. but at the same time, like you said, it was kind of, treading water a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think with bits of Warlords of Draenor. I think there were some cool aspects to all that, but for the most part, I don't know. I think it's interesting that they are going into a more storytelling route, and then they're also bringing Warcraft 3 back. There's a lot of threads, right, that are there that kind of make me go, huh, cool stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick. One thing that I absolutely loved was in the one game cinematic that they released, Terror of Darkshore. I loved what they're doing with Malfurion. That, because somebody described it really well when they said the druids and them have always kind of been the hippies, of WoW. And in this cinematic, oh my gosh, Malfurion is terrifying. It's like he is unleashed. There's a part where he takes down this orc and literally just like closes his fist, and all of these like roots just come up out of the ground and pull the orc down under the dirt. And you can see like the root is like popping out of his skull right at the end. And it's like, and I was like, everyone was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, this is the Malfurion I've been wanting to see for a while. It's like, the world tree's gone. A lot of his people have been like slaughtered, and he's
gone crazy.
He's gone crazy.
Yeah, he's gone crazy.
So that was another part that I was like, okay, I like where this is going.
Never trust a night elf.
No,
never trust a night elf. So Vuke, do you have anything about this that you would like to add in? I mean, I know you don't play like WoW, but
I have always thought WoW looked amazing, and always thought it looked too expensive. So nope.
Fair enough. Well, hey, by the way, I mean, in case you didn't know this though, Vuke, after Battle of Azeroth, I don't know when they're going to really start doing this, but as long as you have a WoW subscription, future expansions are free.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. That being said, I am one of the few people in modern culture that doesn't like subscription-based things. A lot of people like Netflix and all.
Yeah.
Warcraft. I know World of Warcraft is a rarity in gaming to still be subscription-based, but I am not a subscription gamer.
Dennis, I completely understand that. That being said, Warcraft, as in general, everything I see from the story, whether it's little bits from Hearthstone, or Heroes of the Storm, or seeing the stuff in general, I love everything I see from the lore, and I completely get why it's so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, even the novels are really good. I've read several of the World Warcraft novels, and most of the tie-in game books are not that good. But like they're all like quality authors, and just like it's excellent, So I agree with Vuke very much there.
Yeah, I've actually I think I had a Diablo book. It was about the Sin War. That was
yes,
that was a fun read. So with that, I guess we're gonna move on into WoW, the massive.
No, we're moving away from WoW, Chris. No.
I just hear a thought. No. I am impressed. In case you guys missed it, those listening, all five of you, thank you. The Diablo section of BlizzCon was severely lagging. Granted, me personally, I was super happy and stoked to hear that a new Diablo game was coming out, but and I actually have reason to believe that it's no more than a reskinning of Diablo 3. Diablo,
I 100% agree with you there.
Diablo Immortal was announced, and it's supposed to be a mobile game being developed by, is it NetEase? Or you can call it NetEase. I like calling it NetEase. But NetEase is developing this. Actually, there's accusations. It's not so much that it's a reskin of Diablo 3. I take that back. Hold on. It's a reskin of a previous NetEase mobile game.
Yes, it was Crusaders of Light. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's terrible. That's not good.
Yeah.
This sounds like a certain Bethesda lawsuit all over again. So I guess you could say I just want to get what you guys. I guess we'll start with Byron first. I want to get what your opinion of the actual panel was, and then tell me how you feel about this backlash, because this backlash is it's immense. I initially thought it was kind of petty, but I'm now thinking otherwise on that. So you may have the floor, sir.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, touching a bit on the backlash, I do agree. At first, I thought, okay, this is just a few thousand trolls, who aren't happy, who are just like spamming the YouTube accounts. I'm beginning to think that's not the case because one, I mean, last I checked, the cinematic for Immortal has almost 250,000 dislikes on it.
Gosh.
And also, like, the forums are on fire, which is, a smaller niche crowd to be expected. But they had linked to the Chinese forum. And as we know, Blizzard has said that Immortal was partially made for the Asian markets with mobile. And even these Chinese D3 players are not happy about it. And so it's like, it seems as if there is just not a lot of people who are thrilled. And, kind of segueing back to the panel, I agree with you 100% that it was lacking. I'm not like a lot of people in the sense that I hate mobile gaming. Right. I have no problem if they want to do a Diablo mobile game. I have no issue with that. I'll play it, but the issue that I think a lot of people had was that, we've been waiting 6 years basically since Diablo 3. We got Reaper of Souls and, we got the Necromancer.
Yeah, Necromancer DLC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's been a little bit of stuff here and there, and, they've been really good keeping the game up, with seasons and such. But for the most part, there hasn't been any kind of main content. Blizzard came out, they announced and basically said there's not going to be a Diablo 4 announcement. But I think part of the problem was it's almost like reverse psychology, that by them actually saying, don't get your hopes up, it got people's hopes up. That they were like, okay, if they're telling us don't get excited, then that must mean that there is something to be excited about. And I think that a lot of people were very excited, and I think a lot of people even expected some stuff with the Netflix show, maybe a teaser trailer or something. And basically all they got was this mobile game. And, I didn't, and I mentioned this to Vuke earlier that I said, that it's kind of, rare. Kind of once I've made my mind up about something, I normally stick with it. And I kind of stuck with that. I liked Immortal and I thought it looked good. Well, I started doing more research. I started listening to some of the opposing sides. And I have to say, like, my opinions changed a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, this one YouTuber I listen to, it's a Boogie 2988.
Boogie, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Awesome
Boogie,
guy.
Awesome, yes.
He did a very balanced video on it, and he mentioned something that I think is very interesting, that he said, a lot of these journalists are calling the Diablo players entitled, and saying like, oh, you feel entitled to the kind of game you want. He went into a little bit of saying how Diablo has always been a PC game and people want PC, content. And that's part of the reason. But he said something else that really stuck with me, that he played a clip from the panel where this one player said, this is, hey, are we going to ever get Immortal on PC? And the guy looked at him and said, well, do you have a phone? And basically, Boogie was talking about how he said that right there is the epitome of entitlement. That the Blizzard developers, were like, oh, of course the Diablo fan base is going to buy anything we give them that we slap the name Diablo on. And basically kind of saying like, well, okay, yeah, we know that you're a PC guy, but you know what, you need to roll with the times. And because you like Diablo, you're going to play it on your phone. And so I kind of thought it's interesting that I feel like there's entitlement on both sides. There's entitlement with Blizzard and there's entitlement with the players. And I just, I am very nervous about the game with the developer, not the Blizzard developer, but the mobile developer. Because, Crusaders of Light does not have a good reputation in the mobile gaming community.
No, it doesn't. It's crap.
Yeah, it's a terrible game. And so I'm a bit nervous that it is borrowing aspects from that. Like I said, I will hold back until I've played the game because I'm not going to say this game is crap, until I've played it, obviously. But I just think that, this is going to be a controversial statement. I don't know, obviously I don't have any evidence to back it up, but I almost wonder when they announced Warcraft 3 Reforged, I almost wondered if there was an internal debate going on at Blizzard of whether they were going to remaster Diablo 2 or Warcraft 3. And I almost wonder if there was kind of a debate going on. And I almost wonder if they made the decision to go with Warcraft 3, and then they were like, well, we got to do something for Diablo. And they didn't have enough time to do an expansion. They didn't have enough time to obviously throw together a game. And so it was like, well, what can we do? Oh, well, let's do mobile, because we want to get new mobile people in Asia, and it's something we can do quick, because we're going to hire an outside developer to do it. And I almost feel like that might have been what happened. I don't know,
I mean, if that's the case, that's terrifying. I mean, I think, and I can tack on to your conspiracy a little bit there, sir. I think with the changing of the guard, so to speak, right? The new president stepping in for Blizzard.
Yes.
I think that might have caused like a shifting of priorities, because I with the company I work for, they just recently got a new CEO. And things went from we're doing this one thing to now we're doing an entirely different thing. So when new people come on board, new higher ups, that the whatever direction you were heading in, that gets shifted. So maybe with the new president, something happened like that. I could totally see that being the case. But interesting stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, because, mobile gaming is a growing, it's a growing market. It's really big, and I definitely think that they want to grab more people with that. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. But one thing I will say is I don't think the storm is over, so to speak, with Diablo Immortal.
Oh, no.
And Vuke mentioned before the podcast, we were chatting a bit, and he mentioned something about the graphics and how good Diablo Immortal looked. And I have this feeling too that not only is the game obviously crafted for a mobile audience, but I have a feeling that it's crafted for high-end phones as well. And so I think. Yeah, and so I think we're going to have a lot of backlash in the next year or two of where there's going to be a lot of players who are mad because they're not able to play the game. That it's like, oh, well, I don't have the iPhone XL, I don't have the iPhone X, I don't have the Samsung 10, whatever, and I can't play Diablo Immortal now.
Well, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday a little bit, where there's you can pre-register for the game, and you're going, I keep getting this glitch, and it's like, well, you're on an older version of Android, and it's not going to accept it. So you're going, well, crap, now I'm going to have to go get another phone or Android emulator. I'm going to say that to everyone. It's for the people in the back. Android emulator, put it on your PC, then you can play Diablo on PC. It's not exactly the same. There's going to be some issues, mouse clicking and whatnot. It's not a touchscreen device, but it'll work. I've done it before. Give it a shot.
So what I'm hearing is I need to settle you kiddies down a little bit. I feel like we're getting... let me sit my chair up here. I feel like we're getting a little extreme.
Outrage culture. Outrage culture.
So no, but in all seriousness, the whole thing, I think there are a lot of good. I think you bring up a lot of good points, Byron. One of the main things I think you brought up, that Boogie brought up, was the whole concept of both sides having a very strong sense of entitlement. With you're going to like this game, even though we know it's not what you're asking for. Which is, it's weird. Companies have been doing that lately.
Yes, they have.
But so it's like both sides have very strong sense of entitlement. I do have to say I side more with Blizzard. I think Blizzard played a bad card, but I think that the response has been a bit ridiculous. Specifically for a very specific reason, and that's simply that in the post where they said, "Hey, don't expect big things." They very specifically said, we are working on projects. We won't say what, but we are working on the big projects you are thinking of. It just takes it will take longer. We promise we are working on them. We cannot announce anything right now, is very explicitly what they said. And then after the whole backlash, they did it again. They responded saying, "Look, we have multiple teams doing multiple projects. Like, we are working on these things. Just because we are doing this does not mean we aren't doing what you want. It just means we are also doing this." So I'm kind of annoyed that people are mad that we're getting a new Diablo game that has a lot of lore expansion. It sounds like I am probably one of the newest Diablo players. I've only started like a few months ago, really. But I enjoyed it a lot. I love the lore, and I like the gameplay is a fun kind of. Honestly, one thing I like about the idea of Diablo Immortal is that, let's be honest, it's a version of that gameplay, dungeon crawler gameplay, works well on mobile. It really does. And I think that it is very overblown. I think that the community is being very toxic about it. But I also understand where their tension comes from, of being tired of waiting. It's been a long time. It definitely has. I get that.
Listen, you young whippersnappers over there, with your it's been a long time waiting. This is something I just want to throw out there to everyone. If you are if you were born, I don't know, 18 to 13 years ago, we waited.
Us.
I don't care. Whatever. Those of you who weren't even playing who never played Diablo 2. How about that? Those of you who never played Diablo 2.
Fair.
Lord of Destruction came out in 2001. I played the crap out of Lord of Destruction. I've had many characters. Never reached level 99 though. That was always a sad thing for me. But Lord of Destruction, which was the expansion, there was only one expansion to Diablo 2, which only gave us 2 character classes, one of which was actually awesome, the other kind of sucked, and gave us an entirely new act. And essentially, it fundamentally it acted similar to Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3, but it came out in 2001. When did Diablo 3 come out?
2012.
2012. It took 11 years before we got a sequel. Those of us who think Diablo 2 is, the perfect game out of the trilogy, which I think it is the perfect game out of the trilogy. There's a lot more customization. It's kind of like with Vanilla WoW or Burning Crusade WoW. The talent trees were massive, and you could kind of create weird hybrids of characters. Whereas nowadays everything is so streamlined, and yeah, you can have different variations, but everything is almost 100% cookie cutter. Unless you were to find that one particular randomized piece of loot or something like that.
Yeah.
With that though, I've played Diablo 2 for years, and I have had no issues. If I get bored of Diablo 3 and what Diablo 3 has to offer, then I go back to Diablo 2 because it's similar gameplay, but there's a lot of differences. These people that are complaining about it taking so long, it's part of what I think is like a systemic issue in our culture. We want what we want now, and when the fans catch a glimmer of the words Diablo and 4, they start to get a little savage. And I just think everyone needs to sit back and chill and just understand and realize we may not even receive anything about Diablo 4 next year. Now, we probably will because of how all this backlash has gone on, but I think the backlash is ridiculous. I don't ever remember getting up in arms and angry over the fact that, gosh, it's been 10 years since we had anything new Diablo-wise. What the heck's going on? Because honestly, at that point, I was playing World of Warcraft. I didn't care. I was distracted by other things. And if I wanted to play Diablo, I'd go back and play Diablo 2 or play Diablo 1 if I was feeling masochistic that day. So, before everyone gets all super... Well, everyone's already super angry. While everyone is all super angry, just understand and realize that, number one, development on stuff takes time. There's a reason why Nintendo only releases a Smash Brothers game once per console. Because you don't want to just put out another cookie-cutter version of what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have something with some differences. You want to innovate. And that's something Nintendo is really big about, is innovation. So maybe, go figure, that the reason why it's taken Diablo 4 so long to come out is because the team is trying to innovate. Now, the action RPG genre is going to remain the same, but how do you come out with new classes? How do you come out with another storyline? How do you come up with all the skills and make sure things are balanced and everything like that? There's a lot going on in those games. There's a lot in Diablo 2 that was straight up broken. I remember running around with armies of skeleton warriors, skeletal mages, and revived monsters, and about 3 or 4 golems. My computer was chugging at about 2 frames per second, but I was killing everything that ever got in my way because I had my own freaking army. That was broken as heck. They had to change it, so now you can only have maximum of 8 skeleton warriors, but they have more. They do more damage. They have more health and they do more damage. You can get up to more if you find like items that add plus whatever to skeleton warriors, but it's regardless. You can only have up to about 8. So yeah, everyone, be patient. Mm-hmm. If you want to play Diablo Immortal, play Diablo Immortal. It's going to be a free to play game on mobile.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I was actually going to ask about that. It's a free game.
Yeah, it's going to be a free to play game. From what I've seen, I mean, I've not seen anything that states that it's going to be a game you have to buy.
Yeah, I just also hadn't seen anything that stated it wasn't going to be, so I made no assumptions. But I do want to lead into a couple of points from there. One, I think one of the reasons that people are upset is because of the history you just mentioned. For Blizzard, that is, I would say that's uncharacteristic. When you look at WoW, when you look at their more recent actions when it comes to keeping up with their games, when you look at my brain's blanking on everything right now, but just in general, Blizzard has a pretty decent track record of keeping up with their own titles, and I think that the Diablo community feels like they're the leftovers on that. I don't think that's true.
No, go look at the StarCraft community.
Right. Like, that's also an older... It's got its reasons. But I don't think it's true. But yeah, so like, I think that they want some of that more dedicated action like WoW gets, like Overwatch is getting now because it's a new game. But to me, I agree for the most part that people need to be better about that. To me, what I have noticed about this entire controversy is that the limited options of people that are actually playing the game at BlizzCon, they've enjoyed it. And all of this controversy is just like, oh, I heard, basically, I guarantee you this is what it is. Oh, it's from this developer. Oh, it uses a basic mobile mechanic of how you aim and such. Oh, they're ripping off of this other terrible game this developer made. Oh, it's a clone, which then turns into, oh, it's a reskin of this terrible game the developer made, even though it's a Blizzard title, and Blizzard has never done reskins, even with, I mean reskins of other people, even with having another developer involved, and they have kind of a reputation of quality, and it's like, oh, it's one of those where all the information I've heard about like all the bad things has been pure reactionary and has nothing to do with the actual quality of the game. Where what we have seen of the game is that it looks better than Diablo 3 from a graphics standpoint. Like, look at the trailer. I as somebody that's like played Diablo 3 just recently, the creatures, the monsters, the animation look smoother. They look more vivid. They look like it is definitively... Now, you can talk about aesthetic or whatever. We don't really know the aesthetic yet. But so far as the quality of graphics themselves, it is definitely better. I can tell just in this little bit. And so, like, we know that looks good. We know that it's not hard to make those controls fit well on mobile, I would imagine. I mean, goodness knows, I can literally play Diablo 3 with one hand because I have a Razer mouse, so I just have my ability keybinds are on my 1 through 4, and then I have heal on 5, and then if I want to go to town, I'll move my hand a few inches and hit T. So it's not exactly a hard system to put on a simple control scheme based off Diablo 3. So it's one of those that it just annoys me that the entirety of this controversy hasn't even looked at the game itself. It's purely about its existence. And I just want to give the game a shot. I think the other thing is that Blizzard, as a company, is going to be smart. They were dumb now, but I think they're going to put more emphasis. They're going to push their game, and they're going to put emphasis on two things. One, they're going to keep saying, "Hey, we're not going to say anything because we told you we're not going to say anything, but we are working on projects." And two, they're going to keep bringing back. They're going to reference. They already did, I think, Hearthstone, and how I don't recall the details, and it wasn't to this extreme, I know, but I'm pretty sure Hearthstone got flagged when it first was announced at all, because it was mobile. It was a trading card game, which was not Blizzard's MO at all. It was completely, and so I feel like they're going to reference the fact that, look, we've ventured here before. We got flack for it then. We're getting flack for it now. It worked out then. It is a good thing that people like. We can do the same now. And whether or not, how it all ends up, I don't know. But I think in the long run, it won't necessarily be a huge win for Blizzard, but I think it'll work out all right.
Well spoken. Byron, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I do. I agree with what Vuke said, that I do think that the response has been a little extreme, and I kind of think that, I don't necessarily think that's specific just to Blizzard. I think if we look at anything, within the entertainment, political world, anything like that, online with social media, all that, we see these, it's what I think you said, outrage culture. And that it's kind of like, oh, we don't like something, hurry, let's go, sync the Facebook pages or sync the Yelp pages or whatever, so I think we are seeing a bit of that right now. And, and I'm going to be giving the game a chance, and I want it to be, and I think, one thing I want to be clear of too is that, I want to see it succeed. I want it to be a good Diablo game. I don't want to see something fail because, to be perfectly honest, I kind of get mad at these outrage culture people because I feel like, well, sometimes if you attack this product so much and, you bomb its reviews on the App Store and everything like that, well, with a new president of Blizzard and everything, there's just a chance that he could say, heck, no more Diablo. We tried it once, nobody liked it. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, the community is too toxic to be profitable.
Exactly, yeah. And... and I think that sometimes people might not be realizing too that, we, look back on Diablo 3 more fondly after Reaper of Souls because it fixed a lot of the problems. But, Blizzard is also looking back and remembering how harshly the community reacted to Diablo 3 when it first came out. And I will say there was a lot of reasoning for that.
Yeah. The graphics, remember, they're the color palette and everything. They went from a more dark gothic fantasy of what was Diablo 2 to a lighter color palette. Yeah,
everything was different. And so I can understand some of the backlash that there was with that. But I think that also, Blizzard also might be thinking too, okay, we had a huge amount of backlash with this game. We have to test the waters with something a little less expensive. We can't put $200 million into Diablo 4 if we don't know if the Diablo 3 fans are going to come out and buy it. It almost reminds me of Iron Fist with Netflix. That the first season came out, it had some of the highest viewing numbers Netflix had seen with the Netflix Marvel shows. But people disliked it so much that they didn't come back to see season 2 and it got canceled. And companies aren't always the most logical and reasoned when it comes to stuff like that. And so I do get a little bit worried that the fans might be shooting themselves in the foot a little bit if they continue to attack this product.
And I've already seen tweets that are like, oh, we should we should boycott this game.
No,
it's like,
don't boycott it.
Come
No.
on, like,
No,
and that's
come
where I get frustrated. It's a simple fact that if this game comes out and we get it, and it is the Bruce whatever blah 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 life clone like terrible thing that you think it is, by all means get in a rage, be mad. That's not the Blizzard MO, and you should be mad they're departing from.
Exactly.
But you are it's so clearly just a rage fest right now, and not actual truth in that. And the little bit I've heard of gameplay is that, hey, it's pretty fun. So, like, once we get the game, you know, if it's good, maybe you should just sit down for a little bit, listen to Blizzard as they tell you, hey, we're working on what you want, and enjoy a good mobile game.
No, exactly. I fully agree with that, you know. And I do think one mistake that I think they did make at the panel that I think was a big mistake was, you know, a lot of people with mobile games and with just games in general, there's a lot of outrage over the whole microtransaction thing right now. And I think, you know, and I've heard a lot of fear of saying, oh, this is just going to be a microtransaction fest. It's just going to be to make money. I do think that Blizzard could have assuaged some of the fears if they would have told people, hey guys, there are going to be microtransactions, but it's not going to ruin the game. We are not going to do what other companies have done. You know, we care about you. You're our family of people who buy our games, and we're not going to stab you in the back with some cash grab or whatever. And I think
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Interrupt you. I was going to say, I think that's the biggest takeaway on Blizzard's side is that for being Blizzard, they really didn't emphasize enough that like I said, and like they didn't say, from what I understand, in the panels, hey, this is one of many projects. And two, the fact that this was their entire Diablo show gave a bad impression of, we don't care what you've been saying, even though that's not what they actually are doing based off of their other things they've said and all blah blah blah. I understand why that was the impression given to more reactionary people.
No, exactly. And it's like, because I think, it's like, oh, if one of the developers literally would have said, hey guys, I know you wanted, information on other projects. We can't talk about it right now, but just keep patient, guys. There's great stuff coming. We're going to announce it soon, and just left it like that, almost like you said, give some people some hope, I think there might have been a difference of some reactions.
Well, all right. I think with that, guys, I think we're going to conclude this discussion. So, yeah, that was BlizzCon. I want to thank you guys for coming on and talking and discussing the various news and articles and things that came out with each game. And by the way, real quick, Loot Goblin Amiibo for Diablo 3 on Switch.
That is technically one thing they announced that was not Diablo more. Admittedly, Loot Goblins are amazing little creatures.
And that actually comes out sometime in December, so heck yeah, I'm going to be getting one of those because it looks really awesome. But yeah, I'm going to conclude this, and thank you both, Joseph and Byron. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was of course my pleasure.
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Indeed. And all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that awesome discussion that we had. There was so much to go through, and while on one hand, some could view the BlizzCon as no more than a big disappointment, I can't help but view it as just another step forward. There's a lot of cool stuff that we have coming out, and even if various things weren't announced that you were hoping were announced, Diablo 4. Understand that Blizzard is continuously working on these games. We're going to get Diablo 4 at some point. We're going to get pretty much any game that you're kind of hoping for when it comes to Blizzard. They're big enough. They have enough. They make enough money. There's enough popularity with all their content that we're going to get something. Thanks for listening to that, by the way. And I also want to thank once again Byron and Joseph for joining in that discussion. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun recording that. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening through that entire bit. With that stated, though, I want to get to the Twitter poll. Last week, I actually asked not who, but what is your favorite current Blizzard game? And unfortunately, we only got 5 votes again this time, but I'll take what I can get, which is wonderful. All 5 of you that actually listen, I appreciate it immensely. Diablo 3 actually won out. We had someone vote for Overwatch. We had another person vote for Heroes of the Storm, which was surprising to me. No one voted for World of Warcraft, and no one voted for StarCraft 2, which is fantastic. I'd say fantastic, but you know what? It is what it is. Diablo right now is huge on the minds of everyone, and you know, I don't blame people in the least bit for saying that it's their current favorite game. I've just spent several hours leveling up Wizard up to level 70, and I can honestly say it's still one of the most fun games to go back to and play. It's got one of the smoothest grinding aspects of any kind of RPG I've ever played. So this week's Twitter poll discussion question is: are you going to give Diablo Immortal a shot? With all this negative backlash coming out for the game, all this bad publicity, I guess you could state, I just wonder, how do you guys feel about it? Does this mean that you're just going to boycott it entirely? Are you going to go all outrage culture and say, we want Diablo 4 or nothing at all? Or is this something you're going to honestly approach it from a very calm, cool, collected standpoint and say, you know what, it's not what I want, I might be disappointed, but I'm going to give it a shot because Blizzard makes really entertaining games, even ports of other games. Even a mobile game, I think, is going to be a fun thing to do, and if anything, it's going to branch out the lore of the world of Diablo. It gives us a little bit more to chew on. So let me know what you guys think on Twitter, and if you don't know where we are on Twitter, you can actually follow us, on Twitter at SSG_podcast. Don't go to just SSG podcast. Trust me on that. Or maybe you want to go just straight up SSG podcast. I don't know. How about you just go take a look at that as well and see what you find. You can also follow us on Facebook, where I try to post things from time to time, and we are also on Instagram, where I do my best to post photos and run that account as well, even though I'm not personally an Instagram fan. So, guys, once again, thank you so much to Byron and Joseph for taking part in the discussion. If you want to follow them on their respective social media sites or websites or podcasts or whatnot, look in the description. It's all there. And there's going to be a lot of articles, guys. A lot of stuff in the description. All the articles that were talked about on this episode of the podcast is going to be in the description as well. And guys, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time.